part 12 of a very important read of an article that is posted on geoengineeringwatch.org. Air Force officer warns of atmospheric spraying and coming collapse, imparting very important information to all Americans to prepare for the coming collapse. You don't have to listen to all the parts, you just have to click on the link below to read it yourself. But if you're listening, then go back to my channel if you've not heard part 1 through 11, then come back here and listen to part 12. I am picking up right here. As the lieutenant colonel mentioned above, the fuse is very short. The fuse to the coming collapse. Time is clearly not on our side. I hope you will find an area in which you feel that you can be most effective in changing what appears to be an unwavering period of history for America, for her citizens, patriots, veterans, patriotic law enforcement officers and military personnel, and perhaps most importantly of all, our children, grandchildren, and all future generations of Americans. Remember, those in my generation and older, the baby boomers, boy, what opportunities we had. And it was our responsibility as adults to protect those opportunities, to protect those freedoms, so that the younger generations could enjoy them as well. It is our responsibility to do that, and not just let these younger generations live in tyranny, because that's exactly what is happening. Beginning with the travesty of 9/11, which many, including myself, believe did not involve passenger aircraft and were not perpetrated by foreign terrorists. This is an Air Force colonel writing this. He does not believe that it involved passenger aircraft. He does not believe it was perpetrated by those jihadists. I recognize the right-hand underside of the fuselage of an American military aircraft when I see one. A series of events have occurred in our country by our president and other heads of federal agencies to use a bait-and-switch technique on all of us. We were told initially that all of the dramatic measures that were being taken were for our protection from foreign terrorist attacks. While not an historian, I know little about Adolf Hitler in Germany in the 1930s. The creation of Department of Homeland Security frightened me, literally. To me, it reminded me of the infamous Nazi brown shirts, who then, after the Night of the Long Knives, became the black shirts, and ultimately Himmler's infamous Schutzstaffel, or SS, and Gestapo. Department of Homeland Security was another layer of protection and control which we were not asked to vote on, and even when there seemed to be no legitimate need for it, it suddenly appeared, and no one questioned it or demanded to know how or why it was created. Now, of course, we know. Department of Homeland Security quickly became involved in a whole lot more than providing protection from terrorists. Soon, a new Department of Homeland Security agency, the Federal Protection Service, appeared on the scene. Then our airports became filled with TSA, Department of Homeland Security personnel. If you look at a federal organization chart, you will notice immediately that Department of Homeland Security has purview over the FBI, DEA, BATFE, FCC, and a host of other federal agencies. Department of Homeland Security has even written new rules and regulations which are supposed to govern how amateur radio emergency communications can function, but which cannot be followed because of their authors' ignorance of radio communications. We do not need the superfluous, duplicitous Department of Homeland Security, but we have it. FEMA, a subdivision of Department of Homeland Security, has responsibility for control of American citizens in the likely event that martial law is declared. Then came the Patriot Act, followed not long after the National Defense Authorization Act. If you read them, these acts, advertised as steps to protect us from foreign terrorists, do nothing of the kind. What they do is widen the net of people who can be considered or suspected of being terrorists. More than that, they revoked fundamental rights that made America what it is. Rights guaranteed under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So now, we the people are the terrorists. We're domestic terrorists. We are domestic terrorists in the eyes of Obama and his minions, the Illuminati, the United Nations, and the New World Order. Even though we have committed no crimes, we are to be arrested, detained indefinitely at a FEMA camp, and depending upon which list our name appears, either re-educated or executed. Even a blind person can see that Obama et al. Are slowly but surely chipping away at our Constitution and Bill of Rights. To these people, these documents, and more importantly, the ideas that they contain, are a major threat to the New World Order and must be destroyed. In the military, each individual is assigned a job called an MOS, Military Occupational Specialty. The U.S. Army has recently started advertising to recruit individuals to fill a new MOS 31E. Snagit has just given me their warning, so I'm going to pick up with part 13. That's right. Because this information is so important and it really needs to get circulated.